I know the question people are going to ask is, how do we know this really works? Anyone that's been in the game for a while, we know that those numbers can be driven up and that maybe we don't increase our Google ranking. So I'd love to hear like your experience that you have around that. And what's the most common SEO question? How long does it take before I see results?
So does it work? Yes. I've got all kinds of case studies that demonstrate the effectiveness, the efficacy of press releases. So you can go into
I want to, do you feel like it helps more with the organic rankings, or does it help more with the maps, or like, how would you distribute those benefits if you had to put it in percentages?
See, dude, this is exactly what I was talking about. Depending upon what your objective is. If you want to rank in maps, well, we take a completely different writing approach for that content than if you're trying to push your main website to rank organically. So this is why I think an AI written piece of content just doesn't get the nuance of the differences there. You could certainly use AI content. I'm not opposed to AI content. Fine, go use it. But if you really like, I want to rank on the map pack, well, let's take that strategic approach as we're going to write it.
So my guest today is Randy Rohde. Randy is a speaker. We've actually shared the stage several times at several different SEO events. I've learned a ton from this man. Randy's been in the SEO game for 17 years. He runs a YouTube channel. I think they're closing in on almost 200,000 subscribers. Randy is the founder of 38 Digital, and he's also a founder of the News Guy. So Randy's a specialist in press releases. So today's call, we're going to dive deep into a technique that, in my opinion, should be used by anyone who's trying to rank and improve their rankings, whether it be the organic or the Google Maps. So without further ado, please welcome Randy Rohde. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, brother. I'm good. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And really an honor. I love what you're doing. Love your show. Past guest, man, power. You're bringing it.
I'm so grateful to have you on the show. And it's been really interesting with this podcast. You never know how it's going to go. And I feel so fortunate for all the amazing guests that we've had so far. Like, it's just every episode I've learned so much from the person that I'm interviewing, and it's just been really cool. So Randy, you've been in the game for a while. I would love to kind of hear the journey that led you to where you are and kind of like what you focus on now.
Yeah. Well, I always kind of break it up in that, I've had multiple careers in my life thus far. I went to college, went to grad school, and was recruited to go into a retail management program. And so ran a store, was a regional manager, ultimately became a vice president of operations for a couple of different national retailers. And that was great because it was like the way that I do things, or my focus today on stuff with clients, really, I will tell you, all rooted in my retail experience, my business acumen, everything. You want to learn about business and how to be a good business guy, person, like go learn retail, because you learn about P&L, you learn about inventory management, you learn about managing people, you learn about customers and customer service and marketing. Man, you can dig in. And that was far better than any MBA I potentially could have invested in. But at a certain point, though, I was like, hey, this is fun or whatever. And then I get recruited away to go into something completely different, but yet is a passion of mine as well. And that is education, and specifically working with underserved populations in our education industry. And so,
what's a couple examples of that?
Yeah. So specifically working with inner city school districts across the country and trying to improve both the reading and math skills for these kids. I grew up in that kind of an environment, and education was my way out, and it enabled me to do my life now. But it was only because I really focused on education as a kid when I was growing up. And so and that's it was and is continues to be a passion for me. And so started a company with a group of guys. We built it up. We were tutoring kids, doing in school day and after school day tutoring programs in 40 some school districts across the country. I think at our highest point, we were tutoring something like, I want to say it was like 47,000 kids at one point. But anyway, so we did that. Then we ended up selling it, which was great. And then we started another company, kind of doing the same kind of thing. Built that up, sold that. Had to go work with that buyer though. Very interesting. You may have heard of the Milken brothers. From years back, big equity investors, hostile takeover guys from the 70s and 80s. Well, they bought our company. So I had to go work for them. That was another great educational experience for me. But
way to define it, right?
Yeah. So after a year of that, then I got to go and decided, I think I'm just going to do my own company now and kind of do some stuff. And so, with that, we moved to Ohio because I could kind of do this anywhere. And so we had just had my son, who is now 19. And so we moved to Ohio. My wife is from Ohio, so she wanted to be a little closer to family. And we did that, ran a company there, built that up, and eventually sold that as well. But in the midst of that, though, is where I got into SEO was while I was doing this education services company. We also then realized that I needed a call center. And so I built a call center and a call center company, not only to serve my own needs, but as well, I started selling the services out. So I thought, well, if I can get clients to pay for all of my overhead, then my needs will just be free. So it was great. But during that, then I'm like, how do I get this out there? And I started teaching myself how to build a website, how to do SEO, doing paid campaigns. And around that, a couple of my friends who are also in the industry were like, hey, can you do this for us a little bit? I'm like,
what year was this?
What the hell? Why not? Well, I started the SEO, that journey of it kind of in 2008. And then I started working with other folks and doing their stuff, probably 2009, 2010. And then I sold the company in 2012. And my friends were like, can you keep doing this for us though? I mean, what are you going to do? Right. You need something to do. Like, So kept doing that for them. And then, I don't know, a few years later decided I think I'll just do this full time. This is kind of fun. And so that's kind of matured into that. And then in 2017, we started doing press releases, and then started doing press releases first as, again, because of our own SEO clients, and then realizing as well, similar to you, Patrick, I'm thinking about, well, how can I continue to create other silos of business and doing different things? Then I was like, well, what can I do to provide as a service? I mean, here's the stuff that I'm always doing. Could I build something that other agencies might be interested in buying from us? And so, because we're doing this stuff, so it was kind of the same idea like I had with the call center, right? I'm like, well, if I can get people to pay me to do, the stuff for them, then it can pay for my own that I'm doing essentially, without a cost. So did a little research on a bunch of different stuff and landed on press releases. I'm like, I think this is an underserved, untapped market, but has a high cost barrier, high threshold. So not just every schmo is going to jump into it. So we invested heavily into it and started going. And and so I've been doing PRs ever since, building out our client list, working with probably right now. If you look, go sources out, the news guy, you see my little logo wherever it is, right? Just got new t-shirts. What do you think of this t-shirt?
I like it, man. I love it.
But probably 70% roughly of our client base are SEOs and agencies that we're doing services for, and we do it all white label and distribute it out for them and kick them back out to them. And so, we do try to do a good product for that. So
Yeah, let's talk about press releases a little bit here. What is a press release, and why do these matter?
what is a press release? Well, in a very basic level, a press release is some kind of announcement that your company is doing or sending out and distributing to mass, right? In a mass distribution to news sites or newsrooms, news sites, newspapers, whatever. And so you really are making this kind of newsworthy announcement about your company. And I always like quote, air quote, that could, depending upon what it is that you're doing. I mean, it can be very specific, like you're announcing, hey, LeadSnap just grew 42%, or LeadSnap responsible for 42% growth on average of their client base, lead generation and close, or revenue growth, or something like that, right? So you're like, wow, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
I got to get this word out. So that's
I've got an idea for one. Randy, the news guy, says LeadSnap's his favorite software. Just
am right. Yes. So that's what you're doing, right? So you're creating this announcement. So that's a great, like the example with the LeadSnap is a great, like, wow, yes. But you can do press releases, and from an SEO standpoint, a press release is great because you're going to get, like, we'll distribute out to hundreds of news sites. I mean, and you have to think about this as well. Google looks at news sites completely different than any other website. AP News, Yahoo, Globe News, Benzinga, all of these news sites, I will distribute out a story and it's going to go the same story on each one of those sites. And people are like, well, that's just duplicate content. That's going to suck. It's going to kill you somehow. But Google looks at news sites completely differently. They understand news sites are writing the same kind of concept or theme. And as well, they're distributing press releases from companies or company information that all different news sites are doing. So they don't look at content on news sites as duplicate content. They don't penalize the content. They don't care. A couple of years ago, I think, in one of the algorithm updates, it was really like, these authority sites, it was, people were going to get penalized if you were kind of piggybacking, so to speak, on an authority site that had nothing to do with your content or something like that. But then when they were announcing that, and if you look into Google's, I forget, terms of or whatever, policy definitions or whatever, they specifically even state this does not include press releases and news sites. I mean, they specifically even call it out. This does not include news sites and news publications. So, press releases, very solid way to get hundreds of referring domains for your website, drive a massive brand impression for your product, for your brand, your service, and get great, I said referring domains, but you're getting great backlinks from all of these sites. So AP News, as an example, I mean, I think that domain of that site is like a 90 or 92 domain rating. Why wouldn't you want as many of those links as you possibly can coming to your site, right? So, press release, talk about your company, talk about a service, a brand, and expand your digital footprint, expand your brand authority. That's really some massive value, I think, with a PR.
Yeah, absolutely. So Randy, I've got so many questions on this, but how could somebody determine the quality of the press release that they're getting? Because there's you have yours and there's other ones out there, and how would a SEO or marketing agency make a good choice when they're trying to select a service?
That's a good question, actually. And I think, and to be frank and really transparent, there are now, I don't want to say hundreds, but there's a fair amount of competition for press releases now. I mean, we have our newsroom, we distribute it out. You've got a lot of different options that you could send press releases out with now. And people ask me this all the time. Why you? Why should I do the news guy instead of somebody else? Um, and it kind of goes to the same question that you're asking, like, what should you look for in determining whether you got a quality newsroom and provider for you? And I think it comes down to a few things. First of all, think about distribution. Us and probably 95% of all of the other newsrooms, we all probably have close. This is a rough estimate. But if you sit and you compare my distribution list against, competitor XYZ, we're probably like 85% the same, if not even more. So it really does come down to, well, what's the added value, right? Because if I send a PR out to AP News and the other guy is sending a PR out to AP News, does it really matter who's sending it out? What's the difference? You're going to get the link from Associated Press. So some of the differences, though, or what I should say, things that you should look for in a good quality provider for a press release and services and such. One, certainly look for distribution. You want a good depth of distribution field. And then the other, though, is what's included in the service. And I lead that to say about writing. So you can certainly come to us with your own article is fine. And we'll, we review it just to be sure the content will pass, we and all of publishers even kind of take Google decency guidelines as the yardstick for whether they'll accept it. So we have to, we review it and I'll say, hey, Patrick, you can come to the table with your own story. I still have to review it, or my team, to ensure that it's going to meet the guidelines, because, if it doesn't, we're going to have to push back on you, like, you got to change this or change something. But we also, though, provide writing services in our press releases, so in any of our package. And I'm a firm believer, and this probably comes back to my SEO experience, in that press releases, I think, is an art, in writing a good article. It is a nuance. Some things are very basic, like, PR's got a certain structure to it. But depending upon what your objective is for that press release, are you looking for national attention? Are you a local business and want local visibility and expand and use that press release to expand your local ranking and visibility within, Cleveland, Ohio? Is that what you're trying to do? Is it an e-com site? Is an affiliate site, right? So depending upon what your objective is, well, my team, we've spent a lot of time, a lot of years, a lot of training on writing an effective press release specifically for your objective. So I think writing is very critical. There's some places that are like, hell, we'll just, AI is out there now. We can just craft an article on AI, and some people send us stuff. And I will tell you, I can both visually, I can tell, well, that's an AI written article, and both as well from a distribution standpoint or a performance standpoint, AI generated stuff and press releases for right now. And not anything about a penalization or anything like that, but they just don't get the same level of distribution, nor do they get the same kind of results from a traffic standpoint or an engagement standpoint, because they're generally just not as attention-grabbing, engaged piece of content is all. And again, back, depending upon your objective, you really want to, like, if it's a local business, we really want to drive how we're writing content so that it's maximizing relevancy and visibility for that local business in their local community. So we talk about, hey, it's the Cleveland plumber. So we talk about Cleveland. We talk about Shaker Heights. We talk about, Parma. We talk about different communities within that article, that press release article. We may even throw out a few points of interest, right? So to say this piece of content, Randy's Plumbing in Cleveland, is about plumbing in Cleveland. And it helps drive effectiveness from a local search standpoint. You work in GMB ranking, right? I'm still old school. Me and Brian Cato are like GMB for life. I cannot get to GBP just naturally.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, flow out of my mind. I just can't. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
I've been working with a speech pathologist to make the transition, but no, recently I've been able to, after years of kind of fighting it, I was like, at some point, people are gonna not know what I'm talking about.
I know, right? Yes.
Yeah.
That's I just keep rattling stuff, and then all of a sudden I catch myself like, shit, I just said GMB again. Dang it.
Yeah.
So PR can help drive that kind of visibility with that, but I think it all starts with writing, and so we have a writing team, and separate from the writing team, then I have a team of editors. They take it. I've heavily invested in their training from an SEO and writing standpoint for a PR. And so they optimize it from that standpoint. And then we send it off to the draft for the client to review. So I think writing is one of those things you want to evaluate. What's the writing like? Do they write it? What's their process for writing? I think is important. The other thing then, what to look at is reporting itself and how you get a report. We've invested quite a bit on the reporting side of it. And so we give you a web-based link so you can go and you can just pull it up anytime very easily. But on that website page that we give you as well, you can also download a PDF version. And that PDF is formatted so that all of the links on that PDF are live links. And
it makes it easy to go check on them and make sure.
Easy to go check on them, certainly. And especially because, as I said, we do so much client work, our agencies or SEOs. And so they're doing this on behalf of their clients, that it's a great report that they can just download and send to their client, that PDF version, right? So it makes it a very easy kind of thing. And you can white label all of this so it looks like it's coming from Patric at LeadSnap. Boom. Here's your PR. But all of those links are live links. And I'll talk about why that's important kind of on the back end here. And then you can also download an Excel file. So whatever format you want. But I think that reporting is real important because you want to be sure that you're getting, different variations to make your life easier, which now I think is on the back end, which is what does the assets that you get and what does the provider, meaning like us, the PR provider, what do they do after the reports are out or after the press release? So some folks don't do anything. Other folks do some things like we do, which is we take your reports and then we build additional kind of tier 2 links to those news site links. We do it automatically.
That's a tier 2 link.
So tier 1 would be that link from AP News as an example. So tier 1 is your link from AP News. That tier 1 link is pointing to your money site link, right? So
your website, your website you're trying to rank, right?
Exactly. So you got tier 1 is that AP News link. So tier 2 and tier 3 and as deep as you want to go are all essentially pointing up, but tier 2 is pointing up to tier 1 to power that up, to push more power up to your website or your money site. It also helps from an indexation standpoint, because at the end of the day as well, you want to try to be sure that you're getting as many of those sites indexed. Now, 99% of all news sites are going to get crawled, meaning that the Google robot is going to come and crawl the site, crawl the page, and give you validation and credit for, hey, Randy's Plumbing is on AP News and you're going to get all the juice from that. So that's great. And that's what you want. But index means the difference between crawl and index is that index is, it's going to show up on search. So if I do a search for Randy's Plumbing, am I going to see, how many of those news sites kind of pop up in search? So we'd like to try to get as many of those indexed as possible. And this is kind of where I was talking about the different reporting structures. So things as a end user. So, Patric, if you're doing something for LeadSnap, you might want to take that PDF report and do some of this work on your own as well. You might want to go and take that PDF report and go publish it on, there's like 300 like PDF publishing sites. You could go post it on some of those that give second or essentially act as a tier 2 to whatever link is in this PDF. So you can do that. There's a ton of those out there for free. You can take the Excel file. This is one of the things that we love to do. Take that Excel file, put it into a Google sheet, make that Google sheet public, put it into a public folder, and then I take that public URL of that sheet, and then I use that as a URL with an anchor in my next press release. So that press release number 2 is now juicing up all of the PR links that are in that Google sheet. So it's a really easy way. So it's kind of like, think about how you want to juice up this press release and really maximize the power and the impact of it. And a good provider should allow you all different kinds of opportunities or options to do that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I know the question people are going to ask is, how do we know this really works? Right? It's one thing to drive up our, like in Ahrefs, drive up our DR and our UR so that we have more authority. But we probably, anyone that's been in the game for a while, we know that those numbers can be driven up and that maybe we don't increase our Google ranking. So I'd love to hear your experience that you have around that. And what's the most common SEO question? How long does it take before I see results? Right? How long until this? So I'd love, what's your opinion on this stuff, Randy?
Yeah. And the most common response, well, it depends. So does it work? Yes. I've got all kinds of case studies that demonstrate the effectiveness, the efficacy of press releases. So you can go into
I want to, do you feel like it helps more with the organic rankings, or does it help more with the maps, or how would you distribute those benefits if you had to put it in percentages?
See, dude, this is exactly what I was talking about. Depending upon what your objective is. If you want to rank in maps, well, we take a completely different writing approach for that content than if you're trying to push your main website to rank organically. So this is why I think an AI written piece of content just doesn't get the nuance of the differences there. You could certainly use AI content. I'm not opposed to AI content. Fine, go use it. But if you really I want to rank on the map pack, well, let's take that strategic approach as we're going to write it. So yes, it does work. And how long? Well, I will tell you. And let me even push back, let's take a step back a minute here. So from an organic standpoint, you can absolutely use press releases to help you rank organically for critical terms that you want. And I think for any company, any business, any brand, what you absolutely want to do, because some of these stats, something like 92, 93% of all consumers. So we were talking about home construction and stuff before we went live here. Did you or did you not, when you reached out to get a quote from some company, did you do any kind of research on them on the net before you hey, who's Randy's Plumbing? Should I have him come into my house?
Especially with a name like that. I mean,
yeah, right.
But yeah, of course,
yes, of course.
I'm analytical by nature. My first level is I'm going to go through and read the reviews, and I'm like, is this real? And then
Right.
is there anyone that has, like, I get it if the reviews are like, hey, Randy from Randy's Plumbing didn't show up on time. Like maybe Randy got busy. That's completely different than Randy smoked in my house or something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Right?
Randy came, kicked my dog, and ate my
Yeah.
Twinkies, and then left.
I found Randy taking a nap in my bed.
Yeah. Well, exactly right. I only mentioned that as that. So it's the number is like, low to mid 90s. Consumers are going to do some research on a company before they start doing business with them. And a PR. So if I like Randy's Plumbing and I've done a number of different PRs, I guarantee you're going to have 1, 2, 3 different PRs hitting on the first page of Google when somebody goes and searches your company.
Ah, I see.
And it is, think about that. So if you saw, you're out looking for Randy's Plumbing, and then there's like, wow, he's got a news article and talking about, his expertise on backflow, metering or whatever, right? I'm like, wow, this guy's, has been covered by the press.
He's prolific.
Exactly. Here's another press release from somebody else talking about a whole nother story. As a brand and as from an SEO standpoint, and especially if you're an SEO agency, what you want to build is like when somebody searches a brand, your brand, you want to like occupy at least the full first page of Google, if not the second and third page. A press release can make that happen for you. It can occupy space and push out competitors away from it. And that's one of the things that you want to do. But it also works from an organic standpoint. If I really want to target best plumbing services in Cleveland, man, we can help make that happen, a reality. But I will caution this, though. One press release is not the end all answer, right? Just as like doing, one citation for your Google map is going to rank you in the map pack. You got to do a number of things. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole pie. You've got to be sure your SEO is on point. Your on-page SEO is solid. The rest of your backlink strategy is there. But the PR can really help create brand authority across all of these multiple authority news sites that can push you into that position.
Randy, it sounds like there's three benefits that I've identified from doing the press release. The first one is maybe the reason that most people do it is, hey, this can influence our organic rankings, our map rankings. The second one is, hey, there's another road in. There's another road in if you're there's another line in the water as potentially, right? The third one sounds like conversions, right? When we start to do that research, the kind of maybe an unspoken measurable is that there's more trust here. The company doesn't look like Randy just grabbed a van and now he owns a plumbing company. It's like this guy your reputation has changed, right? Yeah, when people go through that research.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. I hadn't considered that third one. Let's go back one step here. Now, there's a different strategy if we want to rank in maps or if we want to rank in organic. I would imagine that ranking in maps, maybe that type of content, we're going to focus more on like localized content. If our strategy is maps, we're going to like, yep. Earlier you had mentioned like the cities and the points of interest and stuff like that. Is that how the content shifts from one need to the other? And the other one is maybe more on the actual service?
Yep, exactly right. So if it's organic search you're trying to impact or influence, then we're going to focus on brand. So then we're going to like brand plus service. That's where we're going to try to focus, talk about the brand, talk about the service, connect the two. On a map standpoint, we're going to talk about brand plus geo, right? So the geographical relevance, and we're trying to drive as much geographical relevance into the content around that and associating it not only just with your brand, but even like structurally within the article itself. I want I want to put my brand plus the geo relevance in the same sentence and next to each other even. So, I mean, we really get kind of microscopic into it to ensure that we're trying to drive good results for our clients. And at the end of the day, for us and any provider, you as well, with LeadSnap, if I can make my clients happy, they're going to continue to do business with me and come back and do business with me. And that's what I want. I want to get them results. I have to get them results because I want to continue to do business with them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like if we can help our clients, if we can be a part of the recipe for their success, then it would cost them money not to use our services, right?
Yeah.
So there's a need for us to do a press release and then do another one later and then do another one. How do we, why is that necessary? Are the press releases going away? And what's the appropriate frequency?
Good questions. So some facts about press releases. Yes, they do go away. They don't live into perpetuity. Generally, every news site kind of defines their own life cycle for an article, and it generally will range from there are a few that are like as short as 3 months, but not that many of them. Generally, they're in the 6-month to 18-month range. But because of that, and this is why I've talked about kind of this engagement and some of the stuff that we do, over the years, we've found that if we can build links, demonstrate engagement on those news articles, and I think what I've found and what I've determined is that once you demonstrate there's some engagement on that article, within, say, like the first few weeks of the press release going out, I think what they do is that they just flip the switch and go like, okay, just double this, don't pull it off. So if they had a 12-month policy of pulling the article down, they're like, okay, we'll extend this 24 months. I swear that's what they do. That is like built in with that because they don't want to.
Yeah,
they don't want to pull these things down.
If it's getting engagement, they want traffic. This would shoot themselves in the foot. So right. This kind of what sounds like a theory is that they have internal monitoring, whether that's like Google Analytics for traffic or some other way of determining engagement. And then they're just like, hey, if this one is really catching something, then let's adjust the dial here.
Right. And the dial is how long they're going to keep it up. Now, some people go a little crazy on this and go like, oh, wow, well, if I send 100 links to it, if I send 1,000,000 links to it, this is going to be great. No, that's not going to be so good. As a matter of fact, the complete opposite. If it looks too unnatural, they're going to pull it off and know that something fishy's going on. And I've seen that happen over and over again. People will take and go dump 1,000,000 GSA links at some of their press release links, and then AP News will drop them in 3 weeks. Yes, and then they'll come back to me what happened? I'm like, well, what did you do? And they're like, whoa. I'm like, you can't do that. You got to be
right
within reason, common sense, right? It's got to look natural,
right? The idea that Randy's Plumbing grand opening has 1,000,000 links to it. This is is that natural? It has the same amount of links as ChatGPT or something, right?
Yes. Doesn't make sense. So that is one of the reasons why you want to continue. The other piece, though, is all about, I think, two referring domains. You want to continue to build these referring domains and backlinks. There's nothing wrong with having multiple backlinks from Benzinga onto your site. I mean, look at any business, any big company. I mean, companies like Microsoft or Amazon or Apple, I mean, these guys are doing releases multiple times a week out there, and they've got tons of these links. So it's not unnatural for a small local Randy's Plumbing, doing 5 every week might be a little much. I do recommend that. I think at minimum a business should try to look at 1 to 2 a month. It's going to give you a constant flow of links coming onto your site, continuing to build out the referring domains, and it continues to tell. You mentioned what I think is great, especially for local reputation management. It allows you or your brand to tell the story about your brand and service. So if I continually am putting out stories about Randy's Plumbing and how awesome we are, we just did this, we reduced the plumbing water bill by 13% by installing this particular waste management, whatever, right? So you get the idea. But if I can continue to pump out content that talks about our brand favorably, it's managing my reputation in a way so that my competitors can't do that. They can't dissuade or disrupt my speaking about my brand and what it is that we do. So I think that good flow, like 1 to 2 a month, and it's not that difficult to sit down. I use, AI, ChatGPT to sit and go like, hey, I'm Randy's Plumbing, and I want to do, about 24 press releases in this next 12 calendar month. Help me create. Here's some information about my company. Here's blog articles that we've written. Give me ideas.
Right.
Well, so you can narrow this down so quick.
One of the things that, like, I shared this with you, or maybe you've heard this as part of being in Rank Masters, is the way we're doing our content now. We build out this huge avatar of the client, and as a part of that, we're leveraging AI, but we're leveraging AI in a few different ways. So one of the ways, we have a note taker that's on the onboarding call. So we're asking questions about why they started the business and their family and all these different things, right? And then we load that into ChatGPT and we kind of combine that with some other things. The amount of information that the AI knows about our clients would make this process really easy for us, because it's like, hey, you have the whole company history, their focus, why they do it, like all this information. Now give us the press release titles for this, right? It would make it very, very simple. So we've identified, I think, reason number 4 for press releases is it kind of gives us if one of our competitors decides that they're going to go attack our client, or if we're the business owner, they're going to attack our brand, we have a level of protection where their attack is going to be watered down by all the other stuff that we've done. Benefit number 4. Benefit number 5, in my opinion, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is if we are trying to build backlinks, right? This is what we do. And we have this kind of brand new domain, or we have a client that the previous companies, or maybe they haven't had marketing, but there's no foundational backlinks that are coming in there. And we want to start to be aggressive with the links that we're sending. We could leverage the press release to kind of offset when we're trying to go for maybe some exact keywords, or we're being a little bit more aggressive with the types of links that we're building. What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I get this a lot as well. People ask me hey, I've got a brand new site. When do you think I should do a press release for it? I'm like, now, today, right now. Because back to the piece, and I talked about how Google views news sites, views them as authority, doesn't view them as anything spammy, does not view a news site as anything that's going to damage your website. There's a couple of agencies that if they're launching a brand new website, we time it out for them so that, and I'll just, kind of as an example, say hey, it's Tuesday, and they're like, all right, we're going to release this the Tuesday at 10 a.m. And at Tuesday at noon is when they take their site live. They want the press release to be out with all of the linking, everything built into it, talking about Randy's Plumbing, boom, before they even take the site out. Because what they have found is that by having that stuff already built out in the Webiverse, whatever you want to call it, that when they take the site live, it takes them out of the sandbox and reduces the time that it takes to rank that website for the critical terms that they want. And so they're like, man, we can just get out of the box so much faster with much better results than if we waited and started doing this slow build of links. That if we can do it with these news site links, it is home run.
It's like you're starting on the 30-yard line or baseball. We're already on second base.
I'm on second base already.
Yeah.
I like second base too. It's fun.
I've never been there. So Randy, this has been an amazing show. This is great. I really appreciate you sharing everything with the audience here. Tons of great information on press releases, lots of reasons to give them a try. So Randy, thank you so much. I've got 2 final quick questions for you.
All right.
Any final words, and where can people reach you?
Final words. I would tell you, don't be afraid of PR, and think of PR as just another arrow in your quiver to like build your brand and build links from an SEO standpoint, get results for your clients or for yourself. And you can reach us very simply. Go to thenewsguy.com. Newsguy.com. Yep. Or you can as well check me out on, we've got a great YouTube channel. Go search for Randy the News Guy on YouTube and you'll see our channel over there. And we do a lot of fun stuff over there too.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Randy, thanks again. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.